That is really, really delicious. Hi everyone, welcome back to Eat Saigon. I'm your host Vanessa New and wanted to showcase a really special dish of mine that I always have in my fridge, which is tofu. I am going to show you how to make tofu 3 ways. I found all of these ingredients in my fridge. As you know, I really enjoy just scrounging whatever I find in my kitchen, in my pantries, in my refrigerator, and last but not least, doing it on a budget. So today I'm just going to show you that. As you already know, our main ingredient today is going to be tofu, and I have tofu 3 ways here. So I have fried tofu, it's a round tube of tofu, and then I have square tofu. So the first dish that I'm going to make for you is the easiest one, and that is just going to be stir frying these round medallions of tofu. We're going to put this in a pan of oil, and then we're going to drizzle some soy sauce, some sesame oil, and we're also going to put some green onions on top. Of course, oil, 4 tablespoons of light soy sauce, and also 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. The second dish that I'm going to make for you today is a very unique dish. It's not typically a Vietnamese dish, however, it's something that we have taken on with the pork floss, with the century-old egg, and we're going to stir fry that and then drizzle some soy sauce, some sesame oil, and green onions on there, and it's just a very simple, delicate, delicious dish. This here is century-year-old egg. It's really yummy. I know for some people it may look a little misleading because it's black, but I assure you that it's really delicious. For our final dish today, we are going to stuff tofu. So here we already have the pre-made, pre-fried tofu. We're going to cut those into halves, and then we're going to stuff that with meat and some of the assorted vegetables and herbs that you see here. And then we're going to put that into the pan and fry it up and have that in a very nice tomato paste. And it's just really going to just bring out all the flavors of the pork, the tofu, as far as the garlics. And then we also have here some vegetables that we'll talk about in just a second. Okay, so for our stuffed fried tofu dish, we have here 1/4 of ground pork. I like to have it more on the lean side so that it's just not too fatty. And we're going to stuff the fried tofu with wood ear mushroom, which you can see here. This is found in your local Asian supermarket. It's typically in the dried goods section. What you'll want to do is you'll want to rehydrate it. So once you bring it home, take it out of the package, you'll want to put this in warm water. Let that sit for about 10 to 20 minutes. Once it's hydrated, you can definitely tell by the texture because it gets really rubbery. Then you're going to drain it and then you're going to squeeze it because you want to get all the excess water out of it. So we're going to chop this up and we're going to put that into the ground pork. The tomato will bring out the balance of all the flavors because we're going to add not just Roma tomatoes, but we're also going to add a little bit of tomato paste with it. All of the dried seasonings that you see here, we have our sugar. I like to use brown sugar. I mean, it's obviously optional if you want to use brown or white. I like to have brown on hand. Of course, salt and pepper. And this here is a soy sauce and sesame oil seasoning. Vermicelli, this is something that is a staple in every Vietnamese household. We are actually going to use this. We're going to chop it up with the wood ear mushrooms, and then we're going to stuff that with the ground pork right into the tofu. All right, so now that we have our pan on, we've got it on medium heat, I'm going to pour in about 3 tablespoons of the oil. Get that going. Once that pan is nice and hot, then we'll throw in the medallion tofus, and then we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and then some green onions, and then that's it. It's super simple, super quick. You can hear that nice sizzle. When you're cooking the tofu, you want to make sure that you move it around every so often so that it doesn't stick to the pan and that it doesn't break. Once it gets to be kind of a slightly golden brown color on the bottom, then you'll know to flip it. So that's typically about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. What I really love about tofu is that it doesn't have any taste at all. You can add different ingredients, different seasonings to make it taste the way that you like it to. So it's starting to turn that nice golden brown, so I'm going to be flipping that over really shortly. So you see I'm constantly moving the tofu around as I'm frying it. I really don't want it to stick to the pan because tofu is such a delicate piece that it breaks off really, really easily. So while that is frying, I am actually going to prepare the plate for it. I have here some napkins because I'm actually going to soak up the oils from the tofu. We don't want the tofu to be oily at all. So you just want to lightly dab the tofu. I'm just going to flip it over and make it look pretty. And then this is the soy sauce and the sesame oil. Lightly drizzle everything. You don't have to put too much, just enough to get it nice and flavored. And then a pinch of salt and pepper again. All right, so then this is a vegetarian way, which is just the fried tofu, green onions, the sesame oil, and the soy sauce. Now, for people that want a little bit of meat in there, now we're gonna change it up just a little bit. This is where we're going to add my favorite, the pork floss. This was such a staple item in my house growing up. So we're just going to take a small little dab of that. It's basically dried pork. I know that sounds really weird, but it's really, really delicious. Now we're going to add in this, the century-year-old egg. So with the century-year-old egg, you buy this at the Asian supermarket. It's found at every Chinese, Vietnamese market, and even found at some American supermarkets as well. It's already actually pre-boiled, but I always put it in hot water for about another 2 to 3 minutes so that it's nice and firm. Once you peel it, it'll look like this. Don't be scared, it's really delicious. So I'm gonna chop this up. I'm gonna just add that on top. I have here some cilantro sprigs. I really love the taste of cilantro and green onions together. Just the medley of those two flavors, when you put it on top, it's a really good addition to any dish. As you guys know, I really love my chili peppers, so I'm just gonna add in 2 little pieces there. And then there you go. You have your fried tofu, you've got your pork floss, you've got your century-year-old egg with a nice drizzle of sesame oil and soy sauce. Alright guys, so for our final dish today, it is my favorite. It is going to be stuffed fried tofu. I'm going to start out with showing you how to make the stuffing for the tofu. So here you have your ground pork. I'm going to take about half of that. I'm going to throw in a little more green onions in there. I love adding green onions to any type of ground meat that I'm making, whether it's a meatball, any kind of stuffing. I really think it just accentuates the whole dish. So you can see I have that in there. Of course, you gotta have your salt and pepper. Mix that up. I'm going to add in a little bit of fish sauce, just a little bit. I would say maybe about 1 teaspoon of that. Mix that together. I also want to add in just a little bit of sugar. Stir that in there. Now we're going to set this aside, and then we're going to add in the chopped garlic. So now we're going to add the garlic into the ground pork mix. We're going to stir that just a little bit more. Then we're going to chop up the tomatoes. So then now we're going to get the pot nice and hot with some oil. While we're getting that nice and hot, I am actually now going to grab the vermicelli and just take a little bit of that. You don't need too much. And then we're going to chop this up, okay? And this is actually going to go into the ground pork. Mix that in there. I haven't forgotten about my pot here. I'm letting that warm up. I'm going to add in just a little bit of vegetable oil, maybe about 2 tablespoons. Then I'm going to add in my tomatoes. We're going to stew this, so we're going to let it simmer for just a little bit, and then we're going to continue with the ground pork mix, and we're going to stuff it with the tofu. Now I'm going to add in about 1 wood ear mushroom here. You can really smell the tomatoes stewing. It has a very nice smell to it. So Let that continue to simmer. Have that about low to medium heat. We're going to add this. Mix that in there. I didn't forget about my tomatoes. Just a little bit of the fish sauce into the tomato. Tomatoes still cooking. Now I'm going to add in an egg into the ground pork mix just to bind everything together. Now mix that in. Now we are going to stuff the tofu. More traditional Vietnamese homes, the way that you would do it is you would cut it in half like this. And you'd actually carve out the inside. So you just want to carve the filling out so you just have that nice outer shell. In some households, so that we don't waste the tofu filling, you can actually add that into the ground pork filling. Then now we're going to add in the ground pork. See how that's just nice and filled up right there. My tomato is nice and stewed. I'm actually going to add in a little bit of tomato paste here just to thicken everything up. So with the tomato paste, you don't want to use too much, so I'm just going to put in about 2 tablespoons. So I'm just putting a little bit of the tomato sauce and also the tomatoes on top of the tofu so that it just really blends in together. I'm just going to let that simmer for about 10 minutes. All right guys, so everything is smelling so beautiful right now. You can smell the garlic, the ground pork, the tomato paste, and the stewed tomatoes. And now I'm just going to take it out of the pot and plate it, and then we're going to sit down, we're going to enjoy this together. Of course, every meal is not complete without my white rice. Then I'm going to add some green onions on top. Just a little bit of pepper, just to complete everything. And there we have it, everybody. All right, now that everything is done, I am so hungry, so I am excited to share with you how everything is. So this here is the pork floss, the fried tofu, and the century-year-old egg. You can really taste the soy sauce, the sesame oil, and then with the century-year-old egg and the fried tofu, it's just a really great marriage of flavors. And then for our main dish here, my absolute favorite. So you can see here, the meat is perfectly cooked right in the middle. You see the wood ear mushrooms, and then a good piece of tomato right there. That is really, really delicious. It's such a comforting dish because the tomato has seeped into the tofu, so you can really taste that tomato broth. It has like a marinara taste to it, but not quite because you've got the fish sauce, you've got the garlic, green onions. Everything's just really, really tasty, guys. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of this meal, and I will see you next time. And of course, before I go, please like, please subscribe, please tell everyone about Eat Saigon. If there's anything that you would like me to make, any particular dishes, any particular way that you're seeing that what I'm making could be tweaked in your own way, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please provide any feedback, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.